Hi, I'm Hannah Olson Cook, and I will be sharing my spiritual autobiography with you, which entails my spiritual and religious journey up to this point, as well as an image I created that represents this journey and where I'm at now. My image is called It's a Process because I am learning that it is a process. A spiritual journey is not always a straight path. Sometimes it's more of a loop where you are going back and revisiting things and considering things and just spending a lot of time reflecting. As I said previously, my image is called It's a Process. So I have a circle that is slightly open and has an arrow, indicating that this is sometimes a circular process, as I said before. One of the images within this circle is a picture of my immediate family. I grew up in the church and my parents identified as saved Christians. I had a somewhat conservative upbringing. We went to Vacation Bible School. We watched Veggie Tales and only listened to 104.1 The Fish. My family prayed together on a regular basis, and I was encouraged to read my Bible and utilize devotions and pray. So one of the images I have within this circle is a picture of my first Bible, The Rock. I read through this Bible twice and spent a lot of time reflecting on it. I felt that it gave me a lot of meaning and guidance in my life. Another picture is of a devotion. I attempted to use these to supplement my faith journey. A picture of the church where I spent the most important chunk of my growing years within the church is in the circle. I accepted Jesus into my heart when I was about 11. We had just switched to the church that is shown in my image. And that summer when I was 11 and had just accepted Jesus into my heart, my mom, older brother, younger sister, and I were all baptized by my dad. It was a really powerful experience, though I'm not really sure why at the time I didn't feel much different, but I knew it meant something. A picture of Jesus is also within my image. An implicit message I received and internalized growing up in the church was that people are inherently bad and we need to be saved by Jesus. I was active in youth group during middle school and high school. I even led a middle school youth group when I was a junior and senior in high school. I felt that I gathered a lot of meaning and peace from worship and sermons. However, and the community really was important to me. That's one of the words that's written in within my circle. And however, there was also the question of how often do I need to repent? I'm not killing people or lusting or spreading malicious lies. So I began wondering, is everything I do inherently bad? There was also an aspect of guilt and shame largely surrounding this, and two of my words within the image are those words. I also didn't like to call myself a Christian. I was a lover of Jesus, mainly because I think I was tired of people making faces when you're a Christian. When I was a junior in high school, or a senior in high school in 2012, I was in a car accident. I had chronic headaches that I still have to this day. Immediately after my car accident, I was unable to participate in my regular activities, which included going to church, reading my Bible, and going to youth group. One of the images in my circle is a person hunched over in pain, because pain has been a pretty big part of my life experience so far. My identity as a Christian was largely intertwined with doing those things, reading my Bible, going to church, praying, and I couldn't do them anymore. As the months passed, I was able to become more involved within my church activities again, but they didn't give me the energy and vitality that they did before. I thought, well, maybe it's just because I'm not feeling well, but something within me felt different. When I was in college, I attended a small liberal arts college that was somewhat anti-religious. I tried to be a part of a Christian community there, but I found a lot of reasons as to why it was too hard to participate. It was taking up homework time, I was tired, and it was in a house church and everyone was weirdly close together, and I felt like I didn't fit in. Around that time, I also stopped praying or asking for God to lighten my load. There were a lot of people who were praying for my pain to get better, and it wasn't. Somewhere along the way, my family mantra of suck it up really hit home, and I felt like there wasn't really a reason to pray anymore. And there's an image of a person closing a door in the circle. And I picked that because in this time of my life, I closed off that portion of me. I said, I don't have the energy to be religious anymore. When I was at home, I would go to church with my parents, and it became painful. I internalized the hard parts of messages, and then I would ruminate them all day and think about what a terrible person I was. After college, I fluctuated between mild and moderate depression for over a year. I felt like I couldn't care about religion when I was too tired. There was also a need for peace, which I felt that I didn't have that anymore from religion. That's one of the words within my circle. For a while, I have been wondering if Christianity is it. Are there other ways to God or heaven if that's people's ultimate goal? Because there are good people who ardently worship their God. And to represent that, I chose a person, and there's multiple different paths they could take. Or there's also a picture in my circle of a globe surrounded by symbols of some of the major religions to show that maybe these are valid. There's also a picture of my husband, Connor, and in my conversations with Connor about theology and his beliefs, I've learned a lot and kind of shifted views that I had held for a long time regarding Christianity. Outside of the circle near the opening, because there's an end to this process, the circular process eventually, is a little image that says eternity goes on forever. One of the reasons why I felt that I had to ask Jesus into my heart when I was younger is because otherwise I would go to hell. And no one wants to spend eternity in hell. However, at this point in my life, eternity scares me. The thought of living forever sounds pretty exhausting, and I think I'm okay with just being done and becoming part of a larger life force. Let's see. There's also a quote on here that says, "There are two worlds inside of you, wonderful and terrible and brilliant worlds." I chose this to show my shifting perspective that humans aren't inherently bad or good. We have the capacity for either of those things. Outside of the circle, there are several quotes. On one side in purple, there are lyrics of a song that say, "And I saw only 2 footprints in the sand, thought you'd abandon me and let go of my hand. But you were carrying me to safety, 2 footprints, your footprints in the sand." Despite closing that spiritual and religious part of myself off, I've still felt that there is a greater presence that maybe is looking out for me and making things come together in my life. There's also Romans 8:28, which was one of my favorite verses when I was in high school. It says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." This verse gave me a lot of hope, and now I'm not really sure how it makes me feel. It's a nice thought, but are these things always good? In terms of suffering and such. Above that, there's a quote that says, "Surviving the darkest moments will make you stronger in will, character, empathy, compassion, or all four." Very related to Romans 8:28, and something that has really led me to counseling. I also have 2 of the acerbic competencies written on here, number 3 and number 7. The third one is about knowing my own spiritual beliefs and religious beliefs and potential hangups. And the 7th is about respecting my clients' views and values. And as a counselor, I owe it to my clients to know myself and to respect them. Regarding where I'm at now in my spiritual journey, I have 2 images within this circle, one of Crater Lake and one of Mount Hood at Mirror Lake. Being in the outdoors has become a very spiritual experience for me. I feel at my best physically and mentally, as well as emotionally, and I feel that there's more out there and I'm part of something bigger than myself. I was a little surprised at how painful this process initially was, reflecting on my spiritual journey. I have come to question how certain beliefs have affected my well-being, especially my mental health, and internalizing beliefs such as humans are bad, so I'm bad. At this point, I want to keep learning and asking questions. You can see that those are some of the words in my image. And despite the discomfort of this process, I owe it to myself and my clients to explore my spiritual and religious beliefs so that I can serve them to the best of my ability. And I will keep engaging in this amazing and interesting and uncomfortable process.